Hello students, so we'll move on with the next point, that is reading from a file. So in the previous video you had seen about opening a file as well as the functions related to it as well as closing a file. So the next topic is reading. So once you have opened a file by using fopen function, so now you can read. So for that you can use a function called as fread. So this particular function fread, it can read either the entire file content, or it can read only a part of the file. Okay, so fread can read the entire file or a part of the file. So when you say part of the file, okay, then you need to specify the length, how much amount of data you want to read, that should be specified. When you say entire file, so all the contents will be read until it reaches the end of the file. Okay, so whatever data that is read, it returns a string. What data it has read, it returns a string. That is the purpose of your fread function, which can read either a part of the file wherein you have to specify how many number of bytes you have to read, or it can read the entire file. So when you say entire file, it's gone reading until it reaches end of the file. Okay, so this function takes two parameters, that is file variable and the number of bytes to be read. Okay, so that is a two parameter. So we have a function called as file size function. So we said that this fread function is taking the two parameters, that is file variable as well as number of bytes. So for this number of bytes, so in case if you want to read the entire content of the file, then in such cases what you can do here is you have a function called as file size, which is going to give you the correct length of the file. Okay, so that is a file size function which is going to give you the correct length of the file. It takes single parameter. So what is a parameter for file size? Just the name of the file. Okay, so here you have an example here. So for this fread function, so the first parameter we said is a file variable, followed by the next parameter is the number of bytes. So we said here second parameter is number of bytes. So here number of bytes, what we have given here is file size. We have used the function file size, so it is going to give you the correct length of the file. Which file? That is testdata.dat. So in this particular example, what it is going to do here is it is going to read the entire content of the file testdata.dat as a string, and it will be stored in file string in this variable called as file string. Okay, so that is your fread function, and next one is file size function. So we'll move on with the next one, that is an alternative to fread. We have an alternative function to fread, that is called as a file function, which takes the file name as a parameter and returns an array of all the lines of the file. Okay, so what does this file do? It again, the parameter it is going to take is only the file name. What it is going to do here is it is going to return an array of all the lines of the file. So we'll just see this with an example here. So we have an example. Mm, okay. Okay. We have an example here, so you can just see this program. So we have written a PHP code here. So we have written the function called as file, and I have passed the name as test.txt. So I'll just show you what is the content of test.txt. So the contents that is there in my test.txt is this. In the first line I've written is this is the first line, second this is the second line, and in the third line I've written as this is the third line. Okay, so this is the code what I've written. So this is just an example to show how the file function is going to give you the result. Okay, so we'll just execute this. So for that you have to go to your browser, and just show here. So you have the file name as file f. So just give the file name as file f. So you can see the result here. So this is going to give you the result in an array of all the lines of the file. So you can see here array of 0, you have the first line, 1 you have the second line, and 2 you have the third line. So this is how your file function works. I hope you have understood this. Okay, so we'll go on with the next topic, next function, that is file get contents. So this particular input function takes the file name as its parameter and returns the entire content of the file. So what does this do? So previous you saw was file size, which is going to give you the size of the file. Okay, or in other way, when you give the when you give file size followed by name of the file, in that case what happens, the complete file can be read, right? That was the example we had seen. Okay, complete contents of the file will be transferred to this file string. That was for file size. So next we are going to the next function, that is file get contents. So this is an input function which takes the file name as its parameter and reads the entire content of the file. Okay, so from the starting till the end, until it reaches the end of the file, all the contents are read. Next one is getS. So what does getS do? Reads a single line of file. Okay, takes two parameters. What are the two parameters? One is a file variable and a limit of the length of line. Okay, so this is the next parameter, that is representing the limit. Okay, so in this case, until it encounters so getS is going to read the content until it encounters end of the file marker, or now when you say 100, so until it reaches 99 characters, it is going to read. Okay, so again for this written an example, we'll just see this. So here you have an example here. So um, F open, I'm trying to read a file called as test.txt in the read mode. Okay, and I'm using fgetS. So we'll just see how this particular program works. So here we'll give fget.php. So you can see here. So what does it do? So actually we had three lines in that particular text.txt. So out of that, the first line is being displayed. Okay, so that is, it reads a single line of the file, takes two parameters, so and a limit on the length of the line to be read. So here limit, when you say 100, maximum it can go up to 99, so one less than that. Okay, so that is your fgetS. So what does it do? Reads a single line. So you saw in the example, so that was the file name was test.txt. So test.txt had three lines. Okay, it had three lines, but out of that only the first line is being displayed. So that is the purpose of your fgetS function. Next one will see fgetC. So this function reads a single character from a file, takes a single parameter, that is a file variable. So you can just write fgetC, and within the bracket you can write the file variable. So one character will be read at a time. And the last function you have is f end of file function. Controls the read operation by detecting detection of the end of the file. Takes a file variable as it is only parameter. Okay, so f end of file takes how many parameters? It takes only the file variable as its parameter. So it is a function which is used to control the read operation. So we said when we tell about fread, we said that you're going to read either part or all the contents of the file, or all the file. When you say all the file, how you will know you have reached the end of the file? By this f end of file. Okay, so returns true if the last read character of the file was the end of the file character, or else it is going to return false. So the character what you have read, if it is the last character in that particular file, then this end of file function is going to return a true value, otherwise it is false. So when it is false means you still have some characters more, then you can read it. Okay, so these are the functions that is associated with reading from a file, that is fread, which can read a part or the entire file. When you say part, you need to mention the number of bytes. When you say all of the file, you can go for a function called as file size, which is going to give you the exact length of the file. Okay. Next you have a file, which is an alternative to fread. So in this case, how will be the result? So we saw the result, right? How is the result? mm, it will be in the form of a array, right? So array of 0, you saw the line 1. Array of 0, you saw the first lines, like this. Okay, so that is for your file. Then get contents is going to input function takes the file name as a parameter, and it is going to read the content of the file. Fget is, it is going to read a single file. You can you are specifying the limit here. So maximum, if you are given 100, so maximum up to 99 you can go, or up until you reach the end of the file. Okay. Then next get C, what it is going to do, it is going to read single characters from a file. Okay, again parameter is only file variable. End of file, again parameter is only the file variable. This particular function is going to return true if the character what you have read is the last character in the file. Otherwise it is going to return false. I hope you have understood this. Thank you.